Okay, so the Elder Scrolls 6 is something we all want, right? Well, yes, of course, but we all want it to be good as it can be, which is why we'll be discussing how the game can be amazing. This video will be split up into parts. The first part is a short one, but it's just a quick explanation as to why the game needs to be released after 2022. Yeah, so after 2022, so part 1. The Elder Scrolls 6's release date is something I'm dying to see and want to see as quickly as possible, but if Bethesda Game Studios release the game straight after their next upcoming title, Starfield, then they will not had they would I cannot speak today. They wouldn't have had enough time to work on the game. Which is why it needs to be released obviously later, but that's pretty obvious. This was a short part. I just wanted to give an explanation. So we're going to be talking about ideal stories today, like the basic stories, and mechanics. So we'll get into mechanics. These are mechanics I'd like to see in the game. So if we look back to the Elder Scrolls 2 Daggerfall, which was from 1996, when you joined the guild, you were in the guild obviously, but you get a quest. You get the first quest, but if you fail the first quest, say it's usually go into the Kingsford residence and kill the spider that's invaded the home. But if you manage to fail that quest or don't get to the house on time, then they kick you out of the guild. But the thing is you can never rejoin the guild in the entire game unless you restart, because you failed the first quest, you've given a bad impression to them, so they won't let you back in. That's something we need in the Elder Scrolls 6. No companions, right? Guilds. So there should be no companions, no mages, no College of Winterhold. There should be Fighters Guild, Mages Guild, a knighthood like Knight of the Dragons, Knights of the Rose, Knights of the I was gonna say Vale. Then that was Game of Thrones. Knights of the Dragon. I said that, but yeah, there's knighthoods, Mages Guild, Fighters Guild, Dark Brotherhood, Thieves Guild. You know, all that. It shouldn't be like name weird things, and that should be a thing in the game because make it more challenging. You know, if you fail the first thing we tell you to do, then we're not letting you back in because you're not fit for the guild. Okay, another mechanic I want is, this is to do with mages and spells. So a lot of spells were removed from Skyrim and Oblivion, which is why Morrowind is the prime game. See, Morrowind have loads of spells that I'm not even going to name them all, but here's some in general, right? You have teleportation, which isn't fast travel. It only lets you go to certain places you've set a teleport anchor. This is also in Daggerfall as well. But if you set an anchor and then you travel across the map and then you use a teleport spell, it teleports you back to the anchor, so where you set your teleport point. You can only set one anchor at a time. So you can't choose where you want to go, which is a good spell. Another spell we need is levitation. Levitation was the most fun part of Morrowind because you're in a cave, right? Like, say it's just a random cave. You're traveling from city to city on the road. There's a random cave, so you go in there, right? And you explore it, and it's just, a tunnel, enemies, loot. But with the levitation spell, some of the caves had secrets. So if you were curious enough and you used the spell and went up a little chasm in the roof, in the ceiling, it was a massive tunnel that led all the way up, and there was like loot at the top because you could use the levitation spell to get up there. And in one of the caves, if you use the levitation spell, if you manage to notice the hole in the ceiling where there's like glowing gems in there, there's like a unique Daedric helmet up there. It's called like some face mask, I think, mask of the whatever. Yeah, and there's it's really good as well. So if you got curiosity, if anything sparks your interest, that should be it. And again with fast travel, it should be disabled, gone forever. And it should replace with another thing from Morrowind called the bus system. Literally, not a bus on wheels, but you had, in order to fast travel, you had to go into a major city. Only some had these travels. They're called Silk Striders. One of the villages, Sodonin, I think, has one, but most of the cities do, and you had to pay the guy a set amount of gold depending on where you were going, depending on how far it was. So you had to pay the guy money, and he'd take you to thing. It was a one-way trip as well. You had to pay again to go back, which is really good, because otherwise you just have to walk like across the whole map, which is good because you find more of these caves, which obviously have secret loots in the roof where you can use levitation spells. There's underwater bits of the same thing, and it gets to see more of the environment. So that was just some of the mechanics. Now on to the ideal story. This is something I just came up with off the top of my head. So the stories in the Elder Scrolls games have always been good, except for Skyrim, which is why I want the game to lean towards Morrowind again, the Elder Scrolls 3, where you do not start as the hero until much later in the game. So in Skyrim, in the fourth quest, you become the Dragonborn Almighty guy, but in Morrowind, it's like 13 hours of gameplay, loads of fetch quests, loads of in-betweens. You only get to be the Nerevarine, which is the hero of the game, until like a few quests before you finish, which is something I want because it doesn't make you feel more powerful, just makes you feel like, adventurers exploring. So story is what I've come up with is we're going to, okay, so you start as a prisoner, which is the standard for these games, and we're going to be assuming the game's in Hammerfell. I'll do this quick. So you're in a prison cell, you're going to get escorted out after serving your time, but then bandits attack, a massive group, well-known group of bandits attack, and then it gives you an opportunity to go out through a cave, like in the Elder Scrolls 4. A cave system where you fight some rats, learn combat, archery, magic. You get juice. You create your character in the class for the playstyle you want. So say light armor for archery, medium for melee, and robes for mage. So once you get out, obviously there'll be dialogue. I'm just not writing it. But, you're free to explore. Obviously, there'll be a city nearby, perhaps the main city of this region, Sentinel, which is kind of the capital of Hammerfell. Or if you want, you don't have to go like Skyrim's quest marks tell you to. You can explore the area, fight your way through some low-level caves and dungeons, get around the area if you want. Or you could go well away from the city, discovering new cities, exploring the vast deserts, the vast Alaki Desert. But it's advised that you go to the city because, it's a big... this city is going to be really big. Now, cities and the locations and the little villages in Elder Scrolls 6 are going to be bigger than, Whiterun and Solitude and Winterhold put together. That's going to be a village. Not a village, really, a town. And the cities are going to be huge. Every single city in Skyrim, including the DLCs, be packed into one. That's how big I want the cities. This is going to be big, vast cities with loads of places to explore. Yep, so you're invited to go down there. And, you want to tell it's kind of similar to Skyrim. I don't want it to be the exact same, but you sleep in an inn if you choose, or you can go straight to the ruler. But then you get the idea that you want to, tell the ruler about this infamous... Because you recognise one of the members from your childhood, actually, and this is going to be backstories. So you go up and tell the Lord, but the guards don't let you in because you're just some random guy who's walked up and asked to go in. So they're not going to let you in, and you'll have to you have to find a way in yourself. And if you get caught in there, then they'll either kill you or send you to prison because you're not allowed in there, are you? And depending on your reputation, which is going to be a thing, you can have low or high reputation. If you've got a high one, they'll just send you to prison. If you've got a low reputation, if you've like killed people or something, they'll execute you at a public beheading. There is ways to get in. You can sneak in and tell the lords, who will probably call the guards on you unless you have a high enough speech level. Or you can show evidence to the guards, and then they'll tell the lord, who'll invite you in for a short time, and then you'll tell him what happened, then you'll send you out. You're not allowed back in unless you got really high reputation, then they'll let you in. But high reputation is late game. This is when you know who the main villains are, and you know what you're fighting, you know why it's happened, obviously. So the main story doesn't really kick off until about 10 hours in, I reckon, because you're going to be prompted to explore, to gather loot, to speak to NPCs, do side quests, join guild, and because you have to be a certain level, like in Morrowind, to start a quest. So in Morrowind, you level 1, you go up to Casades, and ask for the quest, but you'll say, no, you're too inexperienced, here's some gold, go buy some armour and weapons, and get to level 3 before you can advance. So that's the thing I want. So after you told the Lord, he sends out guards to whatever find scattered bandits, and you have to go with him, but he's like, no, you're weaklings, go back out in the streets, we'll handle this ourselves. So you fight some caves, level up, and then obviously Bethesda will make up the story then, but that's just the basis for the story. So yeah, I think next episode might be a location speculation video. Location speculation. Yes, that'll be a playlist. But yeah, that'll be the next video probably on the Elder Scrolls 6. Like, I'm really looking forward to it, so I want to talk a lot about it and put my ideas out there, because in my spare time I'm actually writing a novel right now. It's not based on Elder Scrolls, it's my own series I've come up with. It's fantasy, it's similar to Elder Scrolls really, taking inspiration from Bethesda's games and George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones series. Obviously I haven't copied him because, I want to be original about it. But obviously that's inspired me to do one of my own. So while I've been writing these, the ideas I've been coming up with, I'm like, hey, I could interpret that into an Elder Scrolls 6 idea, which is where some of the stuff comes from. Obviously, the story I've just come up with has got nothing to do with my book, but I have a lot more ideas that I want to show off, so yes. Right, so this has been the video. Like I just said, I did just say that. Feel free to subscribe, all that rubbish. Follow me on Instagram at Fizzy Water Bottle. My profile pictures is of Doom Guy from Doom 903, so follow me there if you want. Do all that stuff. And I'll see you in the next Elder Scrolls video. Bye for now.